Nous is often translated as mind, but that translation is too small. In Hermetic cosmology, Nous is not a personal stream of thoughts. It is not opinion, imagination, or inner dialogue. Nous is the intelligible principle from which creation becomes ordered before it becomes material. To understand the creation of the universe through Nous, the first thing to see is this: the world does not begin as matter looking for meaning. It begins as intelligence giving form to what will later appear as matter. The easiest way to misunderstand Nous is to place it inside the human head. That is how the word mind usually works today. A mind thinks, a mind doubts. A mind remembers, compares, imagines, and chooses. But the Hermetic use of Nous is much wider than that. Nous is not the small activity of a human mind. It is the divine intellective principle by which reality becomes readable at all. A useful image is a dark void before any stable form has appeared. Nothing is yet divided into sky, earth, body, star, animal, or stone. There is no map, no direction, no hierarchy. Then a single pearl white light appears, not as decoration, but as intelligibility itself. That light is the first way the tradition makes Nous visible, not because Nous is merely light, but because light reveals order. It allows things to be seen, distinguished, placed, and known. So the first layer of Nous is intelligence. Not intelligence in the modern sense of calculation, problem solving, or cleverness. Intelligence here means the power by which reality is held in an intelligible pattern. A world can only be called a world if it is more than a pile of things. There must be relation, measure, direction, proportion, and sequence. The stars must not merely exist. They must belong to an order. The elements must not merely appear. They must enter a structure. The visible world must be something that can be understood because it is not fundamentally chaotic. This is why Nous stands before matter in the Hermetic account of creation. Matter, by itself, is not yet cosmos. Matter is possibility, density, obscurity, mixture. It can receive form, but it does not explain form. The cosmos becomes cosmos when an ordering intelligence precedes it. Nous is that first principle of order. It is the source through which creation is not merely produced, but made legible. The second layer of Nous is light. In Hermetic cosmology, light is not only brightness. It is the first symbolic form of manifestation. Before a shape can be named, it must appear. Before a boundary can be understood, it must be illumined. Light is the image of intelligibility entering the field of becoming. This matters because the creation of the universe is not presented as a mechanical assembly of dead parts. It is presented as a revelation of order. A dark, undifferentiated condition does not simply turn into matter. It is opened, illumined, and structured. Light marks the moment when reality stops being pure obscurity and begins to become knowable. A clear visual anchor here is the unfinished cosmos beneath the pearl white light. The cosmos is not complete yet. The elements are not fully separated. The spheres are not fully arranged. Nature has not yet unfolded into all its forms. But something decisive has already happened. The visible world has received the possibility of order. That is the role of light as the image of Nous. It does not replace matter. It prepares matter to be meaningful. It makes distinction possible. Without distinction, there is no creation in the strong sense. There is only undivided potential. Creation requires that one thing can be distinguished from another, subtle from dense, above from below, fire from water, celestial from terrestrial, intelligible from sensible. The third layer of Nous is ordering principle. This is where the notion becomes more precise. Nous does not only know the order of the world from outside. It is the principle through which the world is ordered from within. The universe is not first a physical object, and then later interpreted by intelligence. In the Hermetic tradition, intelligence is woven into the very possibility of cosmic structure. This is why Nous cannot be reduced to spirit in a vague sense, it has a function. It orders. It gives the world its readable architecture. It allows the movement from invisible principle to visible form. Think of a circular diagram drawn on dark parchment. At the center is a point of light. Around it, rings begin to form. The rings are not random. They imply levels. They imply relation. They imply a difference between center and circumference, source and manifestation, subtle and dense. This is a good symbolic image for the work of Nous. It makes the universe appear as ordered relation rather than scattered existence. From this point, the creation of the universe can be understood as a movement through degrees. First, there is intelligible source, then light as the first image of revelation, then ordering speech or expression, through which what is held in intelligence begins to move toward formation, then the elements, the spheres, and the visible cosmos. Matter appears, but matter appears within a prior structure of meaning. This is where the link with mentalism becomes useful, as long as it is handled precisely. Mentalism does not mean that human thoughts create the universe. That is a modern projection, and it weakens the notion. In the Hermetic sense, the mental nature of the universe means that reality is rooted in an intelligible principle. The world is not mental because a person imagines it. It is mental because its source is not blind matter. It proceeds from a principle of intelligence. Nous gives that claim its depth. The universe is mental because it is grounded in divine intellect. It is visible because intelligibility becomes light. It is ordered because intelligence expresses itself as structure. It is material because that structure descends into the field of form, element, body, and change. This also explains why the Hermetic tradition can speak so naturally of correspondence. If the world comes from intelligible order, then different levels of reality can reflect one another. The higher and the lower are not identical, but they are connected by pattern. The celestial and the terrestrial can correspond because both belong to one structured cosmos. The human being can be understood as microcosm because the human form is not outside the order of creation. It participates in it, but Nous must remain the center here. Correspondence is not the starting point. Macrocosm and microcosm are not the starting point. The elements are not the starting point. These notions become possible because reality is already intelligible. Nous is the first principle that allows the rest of the map to hold together. Now the main confusion becomes clearer. When Nous is translated simply as mind, the whole cosmogony can collapse into psychology. Creation starts to sound like a metaphor for personal awareness, personal perception, or personal mental power. That is not precise enough. The tradition is not saying that the universe begins in human thought. It is saying that the universe begins in divine intelligence. This distinction protects the notion. Human thought is partial. Nous is principial. Human thought moves from one idea to another. Nous is the source by which ideas, forms, and worlds become intelligible. Human thought can be confused. Nous is the ordering clarity behind the possibility of cosmos. Another way to say it, the human mind can understand the world because the world is already structured by intelligibility. Understanding is possible because reality is not mute. The world can be read because it has order. The cosmos can be contemplated because it is not merely a mass of matter. It is matter shaped by principle. This is why the creation of the universe through Nous is not a side topic in Hermetic thought. It is the foundation of the entire way the tradition reads reality. If creation begins with Nous, then the universe is not only something that exists. It is something that can be understood. Nature is not only a collection of objects. It is an ordered field. Symbols are not arbitrary decorations. They are attempts to read patterns that already belong to the structure of things. The visible world becomes the outer face of an intelligible order. The visual pivot returns here. A dark void, a pearl-like intelligence light, and beneath it an unfinished cosmos. The void shows the condition before order is visible. The light shows Nous as intelligibility. The unfinished cosmos shows matter receiving form. Nothing in that image is accidental. It shows the sequence, not matter first, then meaning added afterward, but intelligence first, then light, then order, then world. So nous should be defined carefully. Nous is the divine intellective principle by which creation becomes ordered, illumined, and intelligible before it becomes fully material. It is not personal thought. It is not a mood of consciousness. It is not a symbol for human imagination. It is the principle that makes cosmos possible instead of chaos. And once that definition is clear, the creation of the universe becomes easier to read in the Hermetic sense. The first act is not the appearance of solid matter. The first act is the emergence of intelligible order. Matter comes later as the visible field in which that order takes shape.